Our next conversation today is with Aurora Mayor Mike Coffman and Denver Mayor Mike Johnston. Thank you both for being here. Welcome back to Next.
Thanks for having us.
So for weeks, you have both acknowledged that the Venezuelan gang Tren de Agua is operating in your cities and that both of your police forces are trying to figure out how widespread their activity is and to make arrests. In the last 24 hours, this situation has received a lot of national media attention, primarily driven by Fox News and conservative media. So given the now national interest in the situation that involves both of your cities, one that we've discussed now here locally for weeks, what is your primary message to the community? Mayor Coffman?
Well, the city of Aurora is the 51st largest city in America. We're a population of over 400,000, and this is isolated to several apartment complexes. And we are working jointly in terms of law enforcement, Denver, Aurora, state, federal partners in terms of addressing this. It's whether it's Tren de Agua or whether it's other criminal elements that are doing this is irrelevant. The fact is that we are working to get this under control.
That work has gone on for weeks. In the last 24 hours, what has changed for people in the city of Aurora, in your government?
Really nothing. I mean, we have ongoing operations that are continuing to address this. We made some significant arrests in this, and we will continue to do so until the problem is eliminated.
What are you hearing in terms of feedback from the public, both local and non-local?
Well, I think the problem is just an incredible exaggeration. It's not isolated to 3 apartment complexes. It is a citywide problem. And the governor has been texting me about his concern just about an image issue, and I think the city's been really unfairly painted with such a broad brush in this incident. And I'm not minimizing this incident. It's a serious incident, but it's not the entire city.
Mayor Johnston, given the public attention now focused on Denver and Aurora, what's your message to the community?
Yeah, for us, our clear message is we are aware of this. We've been monitoring it, and the situation is under control. There is going to be no widespread gang activity in the city of Denver, and we're working hard on this with Mayor Coffman's help and support. We know there are 50,000 newcomers who've come to this city. The great majority, 99.9% of them, are all here to work hard and play by the rules and try to build a better life for themselves. We know among any population, you'll have very small subsets of folks that don't follow the rules, and we hold those folks accountable. We actually know historically it's always true that we have lower levels of crime around migrants than we do among our general population. So there's a risk of misperception somehow this population is more dangerous, causing more trouble. That's just factually not true, but we are aware of it. We have overt and covert operations going every day to intervene, and where we know there are risks, we're going to be aggressive about making arrests, about pressing charges, and if needing, deporting folks. But I think the much bigger risk is that you'll have a perception that all of the newcomers in the city are dangerous, and nothing could be farther from the truth.
What is that risk then?
What is the risk of misperception?
What is that risk if people get that misperception?
Yeah, I think you see that video over and over again and you feel like, oh my gosh, every newcomer to the city must be a part of Tren de Agua and I should report them or call 911 or call 311 or, heaven forbid, take law into my own hands. That is not needed in any way. We have one of the best trained police forces in the country who knows how to do strategic operations, knows how to do gang prevention. We are on this at every single moment. We have surveillance going all the places we're worried about. We do not need civilians' help. We need folks to keep doing what they're doing, which is being good citizens and good neighbors, and we will deal with the folks that aren't.
Mayor Coffman, you said in your previous visit here that you were concerned about a broad brush being painted on the Venezuelan community that might either put people in danger or make them reluctant to work with you to solve this issue.
Well, I think there's always a concern, and particularly from Venezuelans that have immigrated here from what is really a failed state, a dictatorship that uses its police force to suppress the opposition. And so we want to work to earn their trust, to have their confidence, to step forward and identify who the bad actors are. And so that's one of the challenges that we have, but we're moving forward and doing it.
Mayor Coffman, I want to ask you about that video that's being played nonstop some places. Correct to say that Aurora police have had that video as part of their investigation into gang activity for more than a week now, that's right?
That's correct.
But you have not yet determined if the men in that video are part of the TDA gang?
That's correct.
That's correct, okay. Mayor Johnston, what are Denver police telling you about the scope of the threat posed by this one criminal organization, TDA, versus all of the criminal organizations operating in the metro area?
It's very small, the threat from TDA in Denver. It's smaller than many other organized criminal networks that might have been here for decades, the ones you know, like the Bloods or the Crips or others. And so we're monitoring it closely. We're going to make sure they don't get a foothold. Where we know we can intervene, we can. But Mayor Coffman's really right. The risk on this is the folks most likely to be taken advantage of and abused by this are other newcomers, are Venezuelans who have arrived and are being bullied by these individuals and feel afraid to call the police or call the city. We want to make very clear, if you have the least bit of concern, call 311, call 911. We do not ask for your citizenship or your status. You're at no risk of adverse action. We need your help in alerting us if there are instances. But we, at this point, have enough eyes and ears on the ground that we are very confident this is not something that's going to spread.
Mayor Coffman, correct that folks in your city who are taking calls are being overwhelmed by people complaining or worried about something they saw on TV as opposed to actually reporting crimes?
Right, it's overwhelming our 911 system, our emergency call center, and so it's actually hurting our ability to respond to crime, and so I would hope people would not do that. I think we're in some sort of environment of hysteria right now over this. It's a real issue. It's being dealt with. It's isolated, and you know, whether it's this TDA or not, I mean, if folks band together to do organized criminal acts, that's a real concern. And so, but again, I think
I got to ask you though. I mean, you say that, and you stressed that a couple times. But some of your fellow Republicans in city leadership say that you're not telling the truth, that you're covering this up, that Aurora police are covering it up, that Denver police are covering it up. What do you say directly to that concern?
Well, they've been conflating it with every issue where there's Venezuelans who gather together. There was an issue several Sundays ago where, in anticipation of the election returns in Venezuela, there was some social media platforms that said let's do a meetup at this location in Aurora, and yeah, it was poorly organized. It wasn't organized, and it had some detrimental effects. And they somehow conflate that with gang activity. They conflate the known property with gang activity. If there were gang activity, it was secondary to the habitability problems that have been there for a very long time that the city's been litigating against. So there was a record in terms of that. I was at that property over a year, and there was no concern about gang activity. The concern was from the residents about the habitability problems of it, and so it was eventually closed down.
I want to ask you about that property directly. When we last spoke on August 8th, you said that the problem there was, your words, out-of-state slumlords who essentially abandoned the property, allowing all kinds of bad things to happen there, among that gang activity, and that the gang had not taken over that property or others. Is that still your view, that gangs have not taken over apartment buildings in Aurora?
No, I think not in the known property, but there are others that we're concerned that criminal elements have pushed out the property manager and are extorting the tenants in the building.
The Dallas Street property?
There are 2 to 3 buildings where that is occurring, that we have ongoing operations on in those buildings.
And when you say ongoing operations, right, is a gang functionally in control of those spaces?
There's a criminal element in control, and it's difficult because they've intimidated the residents of the building, and so, but we are still able to make arrests. We will continue to make arrests, but it is, you have to understand that they fall back into that population of tenants in those particular buildings, and so it is harder work to identify them and arrest them and get them off the street.
Yeah, I want to drill down on that because I think that that's important for people to understand, right? Because it plays into a lot of the national headlines that we're seeing. When you hear, gang has taken over an apartment complex, that can mean different things to different people, right? There's taken over in terms of Aurora police can't go there. Mm-hmm. And then there's taken over in terms of they're shaking residents down for money and scaring people and that kind of thing. If I hear you correctly, and please correct me if I'm wrong, you're saying it's not a takeover in the sense that it's a no-go zone for APD, but that they are exerting control over the residents in a way that is unacceptable or illegal.
Correct, yeah.
That's fair to say?
Yes.
Okay. Any apartment complexes in Denver where you believe that's happening?
We do not have that.
Okay.
And I might just say one more thing.
Please.
What we find is, there are folks who came to this country because they left a country where the police could not protect them from cartels and organized crime. Those folks are going to come to this country and find something very different, which is the rule of law governs here, and we will both protect those folks that are being bullied. We will hold accountable those folks that are trying to do the bullying. And so I think both sides are in for a new awakening. The folks that came here looking for the American dream will find it. Those folks who came here looking to cause chaos, I think will find that this is their worst nightmare, because we're not going to tolerate that in this city.
Do both of your police departments tell you that they have all the resources that they need to deal with this situation?
Ours do, and we've been very pleased with both the partnership from the federal level, the state level, working together with Mike and other regional cities. We have this Raven project which takes this on. So we think we have a very good collaborative project of law enforcement. We think we're ready.
We're ready, but it's not without a cost. We've had to divert law enforcement resources from other things to address this issue. And so do we have sufficient law enforcement resources to address this issue? Yes. But at a cost, but we are staffing up this department with larger academy recruit classes.
Mayor Johnston, a question for you. There are some racist signs that appeared in Denver overnight along Colfax. They targeted migrants. They targeted Vice President Kamala Harris. It seems like there are some people trying to turn the temperature up.
Yes.
As it relates to migrants in our community and this issue. What are you seeing in terms of the response to that in the city?
We obviously see a lot of people standing up and saying this is not us, this does not represent us, this is hateful, racist language that I think is not indicative of all where the city is. I think it's a small number of people trying to create chaos and trying to use this opportunity. What we know is the city has been a welcoming city, it will stay a welcoming city, and we've become safer as we've become a more welcoming city, and so we know that's just a lie, but it's fear people want to propagate for political purposes. What I respect about Mayor Coffman is he just wants to solve the problem. No one's here to make a political point. We're here to keep the people safe. I think we have a real path to do that, but that is unacceptable. We'll pull those signs down. We'll use cameras to prosecute the folks we can find, because there's no place in our city for that.
Final question for both of you. It's somewhat rare in Colorado politics to have a Democrat and a Republican sit down to talk about an issue. I understand you're both in municipal offices. You were not elected on party lines. But you disagree about a lot of things, including immigration. But you're in this situation together, right? You can't fix it in one city and have it linger in the other. A final thought from each of you on that about what is going to be required collaboratively to fix this issue.
We're working together. I think Mike's been a great partner in that regard, but the criminal element in many areas doesn't understand where the boundaries of Aurora and Denver are. Sometimes I don't quite understand. And so, the fact that we're working together and not in isolation is important to resolve this issue.
Your decision about why you wanted to come and talk about this together today?
I mean, Mike and I talk about a lot of stuff. We solve a lot of problems together. We find on places where we disagree, but there's no real partisan way to stop crime or to pave streets or to build housing. We both want to get these things done. So more often than not, we're on the same side. And anytime we can work together, I'd love to. So we always keep that phone line open, and we're happy to collaborate because it makes it better for our residents and better for the cities.
Mayor Mike Johnston of Denver, Mayor Mike Coffman of Aurora, thank you both.
Yeah, thanks for having us.